ready, will you just explain what you think OCD is and what the symptoms come with it?
OCD in that Obsessive Compulsive Disorder. Like when you wash your hands all the time, like when you touch stuff, you constantly got to wash your hands, you can't shake people's hands.
Over cleaning too much,
that
being
type of
like
thing,
a clean freak, you know, looking for the little things, you know, and like mess and stuff like that. You know,
you've just very jog memory, yeah.
What do you think the symptoms are of OCD?
Well, trying to do something, have everything in its right place, I guess.
Counting, doing things, being obsessed with things, like checking and repeating things and having certain routines that you have to follow.
People who are just organised and things like that, cleanliness and stuff. So everyone's got it, I think, but people admit it. People either don't admit it or admit it.
Things have to be in order, clean, tidy.
Wanting things structure, I think, yeah.
Control.
A lot of people believe OCD is about cleaning and being a perfectionist. It doesn't help that there's a lot of joke memes circulating online regarding OCD. In 2012, I started work on a personal documentary aiming to raise awareness for OCD. I travelled the UK where I met so many amazing people who agreed to be part of this film. I also spoke with so many fantastic people via Skype from other countries such as America, and I even had a chance to share my work in America. The last 5 years is something that I will always cherish. Introducing Living with Me and My OCD. I recorded diary interviews throughout the process of filming for this documentary. These diary interviews aim to document my thoughts and feelings of my OCD, providing an insight into how it feels like to have OCD. These are a few examples dating back to 2012. I just want other people to know, like, it's not just, it's not something like, oh, I just wash my hands. It's not just that. It can strain from a load of things, an absolute load of things. I feel currently at the moment quite sick and stressed for a number of different reasons, but I'm not. I hit this week as I hit an all-time low. I was feeling things that like it'd be easier if people around me didn't have to deal with me and I wasn't here, and I don't want to think that. It's OCD, it's just like, it's just taking over everything, and it's, I don't know, and it would be amazing to have some pill that I took that got rid of them thoughts, but it's having its effects, because I felt like all my hands the other day turned blue because I'd used too much sanitising gel, so that wasn't the greatest of feelings. Sometimes I just wish some days that I'd just stop thinking, like everything just seems to be just think, and I'm just fed up of it. It's like, why can't you just not think? And like even now, talking to you right now, all I'm doing is thinking, oh, is what I'm saying okay, or do I need to repeat it or redo this, or it's just, the brain just won't stop. It's just the battling these intrusive thoughts just every day and trying to be fine on the outside. I mean, it's the worst feeling, especially when you're going through the thoughts in your head and you've got to try and act fine. I'm trying to just bury it to the bottom, and it's starting to resurface again. So yeah, that's where I'm at right now with it. Early 2012, I was seriously affected by my OCD. This was one of the main reasons I started production on this film. OCD is often misrepresented as a desire to clean or have things in order. Obsessive Compulsive Disorder, which is OCD's full name, is a serious anxiety-related condition where a person experiences frequent intrusive and unwelcome obsessional thoughts, often followed by repetitive compulsions, impulses or urges. The illness affects as many as 12 in every 1,000 people, 1.2% of the population, from young children to adults, regardless of gender or social or cultural background. The World Health Organization has actually ranked OCD in the top 10 of the most debilitating illnesses of any kind. Typically, a person's OCD will fall into one of the four main categories: checking, contamination, mental contamination, hoarding, ruminations, intrusive thoughts, although there are numerous forms of the illness within each category. The source of this information was OCD UK. My OCD takes many forms. I suffer mainly from intrusive thoughts. I have overwhelming, powerful and distressing thoughts that I must counteract through rituals or thoughts. This has affected all aspects of my life. I also struggle with contamination and checking. I have suffered with OCD since I was 6 years old, and the intensity has varied over the years. OCD has been associated with the need to clean and have things in order. This is not true. Cleaning can be part of the OCD, but it's certainly not something sufferers enjoy. For instance, I wash my hands a lot, but this is from the fear of becoming ill. If I could stop doing this, I would, as it's time-consuming, frustrating, expensive, and also affects the condition of my hands greatly. I spoke with over 40 people across the globe to provide an insight on what it is really like to live with OCD.
My OCD has varied a lot. The biggest part of it is excessive responsibility and feeling that I'm responsible for anything that happens and trying to take care of everybody. I was doing things like seeing glass on the ground, having to go pick it up because it was then my responsibility because I'd seen it. So if somebody got hurt, it was all down to me. I've even been known to pick up polystyrene in the road. Contamination was a big part when you had things like bird flu, SARS, things like that. I was worried if I even coughed in a room, people would get ill, they would get poisoned somehow. The only thing it's really stopped me doing is having kids.
How come it stopped that?
I was so frightened that I would, if I had children that I would harm or shake, I was frightened I would shake them. And so I used to punch myself in the stomach just to make sure that there was nothing going on.
I used to have thoughts in my head that I was going to stab, strangle, those kind of things, my partner. So I started getting fears of knives, scarves, things like that, anything that was kind of in the way that could be used as a weapon kind of thing. And that was quite intense. But over the years, I mean, I've had treatment for that, and over the years that has calmed down a lot. But on a day-to-day basis, it's general intrusive thoughts that come and go, checking the gas because you don't want an explosion, checking the taps are off because you don't want a flood. Those are things that I've learned to live with, that I do every day.
My OCD takes many forms. I suffer from intrusive thoughts, have very distressing, unpleasant thoughts, and ruminations. They're there constantly, they're there now, they're 24/7. I also have other forms such as cleaning rituals, checking rituals, counting numbers, and I have quite a rigid lifestyle, so I find it very difficult, say, to do anything spontaneously. Like if you asked me to go out now, I couldn't just go. I'd have to do all sorts of things before I went. From the minute I get up in the morning till the minute I go to bed at night, there's not one part of my life that isn't affected by OCD.
I tend to get intrusive thoughts, and then I try to neutralise them or ruminate to sort of get past them, and then I get more and more caught up in them, and they tend to revolve around harm for me, usually. So the most distressing time for me was when my son was very small, and I was worried that something would happen to him, either by accident or that I would do something, not something I wanted to do, but something I could do simply because it was possible for me to do it. So, I thought I might step on him or throw him under a bus or something, and it's not that I wanted to, just I would have such a powerful image in my head of that happening, and it would be very distressing. And it became quite hard to go out or to carry him on a hard surface or to have him anywhere where I felt that he was in danger. I think in retrospect I'd had it since I was about 12 in one form or another, on and off. I had those thoughts about my son that I hadn't disclosed to my doctor or my health visitor. I was seeing them for anxiety and depression, so we knew I had problems. But I hadn't mentioned those thoughts because, of course, you don't know they're harmless. You think they're terribly harmful and they're an indication that you're a terribly dangerous person, that if you reveal them, social services will come in and take your child away and throw you in prison or whatever. I was researching postnatal depression for something I was writing, and I came across this passage in a book that talked about OCD in new mothers, and it described exactly the symptoms I had, and also said quite categorically these women are no risk to their kids, they're not going to do them any harm. So it was a real revelation and a real relief, and I went straight to my doctor and I was diagnosed then.
Do you think if you had more awareness within the media and knowledge, you'd have known before and it would change stuff?
Absolutely, it would have done. I thought because I don't do stuff, because I don't count and I don't check and I don't wash my hands a lot, I thought I didn't have it. And I was someone who'd read quite a lot about mental health stuff as well. I wasn't someone with no interest in it at all, and I wrote the book actually because it shocked me, that my own ignorance shocked me and the consequences of it.
At your worst, like how distressing is your OCD?
It's crippling. I think the worst was when I was pregnant actually, and I couldn't walk downstairs in case I fell. I could hardly cross a road in case I got hit by a car. I could hardly put one foot in front of the other in case I fell over. If I was going around a supermarket, I'd have my hands like that because I'd imagine that someone's trolley or someone's basket would hit me in there and hurt the baby. And I had this obsession with the idea that in my office and in the loft, there'd be a fire and I wouldn't be able to get out. And I realised I was going absolutely nuts when I found myself 15 weeks pregnant, climbing onto the desk to practice an escape route through the window, just to see if I could do it. And I thought, hang on, this is absolutely mad. And I went to my doctor, and she put me on antidepressants during the pregnancy, which took the edge off a bit, which they don't do lightly.
No.
But I really was losing it at that point. I was losing touch with reality.
I would say it's severe anxiety based around irrational fears of stuff that I know isn't true-ish. Kind of compels me to do not rituals but checks, washes, driving problems, driving ones that are quite severe, which means I could potentially drive the same journey sort of 10-15 times over to check that I haven't caused an accident or hurt anyone, even though I know I haven't. There was probably nearly all of my 30s where I kind of didn't do anything. I didn't do anything that I wanted to do. I couldn't run, I couldn't cycle. Horrible. And to see the impact it had on my wife as well, who's kind of there trying to hold it all together. We couldn't do anything at all that didn't involve massive amounts of stress. We couldn't even go to the shops without it being a massive traumatic experience where she'd get annoyed with me for doing stuff, I'd get annoyed with myself for doing stuff, and in the end it was just, overwhelmingly horrible.
I suffer with pure O, which is a doubt and need for 100% certainty. I try to mentally solve things in my head, and the need to ask for reassurance from others. It always comes into my head as a question, and my core belief is based around abandonment. I try to work out the answer in my head, usually playing back scenarios and conversations. It's affected relationships where I've had to ask over and over again the same question. I've lost friends because of it, I've lost partners because of it. And seeking reassurance from someone else is only a short-term fix.
They've been quite violent, intrusive thoughts, which I've had on quite a few occasions in certain areas of my life. I had one where I'd stabbed my mum. Well, I thought I was going to stab my mum with a pen. So when I went to bed, I had to make sure I had no pens around me or anything like that, because I was afraid I was somehow going to get up in the middle of the night and stab her with a pen.
2007-ish, I wouldn't really leave the house, and I'd wash my hair every like about 10 times a day. I'd feel like I'd be contaminated if like there was a little fly in the house. I'd just have to go wash my hair again, and then I'd just spend like the day washing my clothes, washing my bedding every day, and just I wouldn't really socialise at all.
I was first diagnosed when I was 16, but I think I showed signs before then, like throughout childhood, like having certain things to do, and the routines got my parents involved. Like they'd have to say goodnight in certain ways and like go downstairs, and I'd ask them where they were, and I'd have to come back. And whenever I walked through doors, I had to like tap my arms against the door frames, and then like bruises across my arms. I worry a lot about people dying, and if I don't do certain things in particular ways, then they will die.
I've told a lot of people that I suffer from OCD, and they'll say, oh well, you can't because you're not tidy, or you don't clean all the time, or something like that, which is ridiculous because it's more of the thoughts that I have. I think at the moment I'm suffering more from worrying about people that I care about. So I think ever since I was little, I always used to worry that something would happen to my parents or my friends, and that's affected every relationship I've ever been in.
The first time I went to the doctors it was September 2009, and I was convinced that I was going blind. I had to constantly seek reassurance, saying, "Oh no." She's like, "It's like, I can see that as well." And everywhere I'd go, like I'd be in a shop or the co-op, and I'd see a light flickering, and I'd go to my mum, "Can you see that light flickering?" And she'd be like, "Yes, I can see that." So it's I really can't explain how horrible it is. It's like almost like it's not me. I'm sort of witnessing something in my mind. Like I'm sort of a spectator, I guess, of and I can't have any influence on what's going on. You know, like two people in my mind, myself really constantly, nattering at each other, saying, "Oh, you're this or that."
I am absolutely terrified of germs, diseases, illnesses, hospitals, things that I can't see around me happening. I like things to be in the order of, like everything to be as it was. I don't like change. I obsess about getting ill and my family being ill, and things in my life changing that I can't foresee coming, basically, to the point where I then have to do routines to cancel it out, which takes a lot of time up in my day. Deep down you feel bad because I'm sure for me there's people out there who genuinely are ill and do have serious illnesses, and yet I worry about them knowing that there's a good chance I'm fine and there's nothing wrong with me. I get a headache and I'm convinced I'm dying, and I don't just mean dramatic, I mean to the point where I can physically not be able to get out of bed, to the point where I can struggle to cope with everyday life. And I think that's the big thing. It does affect your relationships with everybody, your friends, your family, because you constantly seek reassurance and you're constantly on edge worrying.
My OCD has changed over the years since I started with it when I was 16. Contamination's probably been the biggest issue. I struggle with health anxiety, so obviously believing that if I touch things then I'll get ill, seriously ill at times, or even potentially die. So I'd often wipe taps, I'd just clean general things. I wouldn't touch things. If I did touch things, it would be with, sort of my clothes, or it'd be with a tissue or something like that.
My OCD is known as PRO, and it's to do with like intrusive thoughts about stuff that really gets me anxious and works me up. Like I used to have a major problem with responsibility, and like anyone I loved or cared about, I always had to phone them and tell them how much they meant to me, because I always thought about them dying or something like that, and it being left on some bad, horrible note, and that I'd always feel guilty.
Although I perform rituals, they're quite often in my head. I quite often do something, for example, when I shut a door, it's not that I don't think I've shut the door correctly, it's that it didn't feel right when I did it. So therefore I feel like something might happen as a result of that, some harm could come to somebody, and therefore the reason that I do it again is to try and do it until it feels right. So it's not really about the door at all, it's about me making sure things are okay in my head and sort of cancelling out the negative thoughts.
Typically with me it involves, I'll get fixated on the idea that my thoughts are going to either make something bad happen or prevents something good from happening, and I get caught in a cycle of mental rituals to try and put this right.
I spoke with one sufferer of OCD who had gone through such a traumatic experience due to OCD and a lack of understanding regarding the illness.
My first sort of OCD when I was a kid was worrying that something bad was going to happen to my mum, and I would do things like touch the floor so many times. And then I got married and I had my own kids, and I was always around kids, and the biggest one for me was worrying that I was a paedophile, and that's really hard. But I wasn't diagnosed with OCD at this point. I didn't know what was wrong with me, and I kept it a secret, and I kept it a secret for a long time. And kind of hit me at the point where I couldn't be alone with them at all. I would follow my husband around the house, and in the end I would say a breakdown, and I ended up being admitted into hospital where I told them everything, and I was expecting them to lock me up, throw away the key if you like, but they diagnosed me with OCD, and my previous husband had seen me go through 2 relapses of my OCD and knew all about it. And when we split up, it was very sort of messy, and anonymous letters were sent to the school where I worked saying that I was a paedophile, and they wanted, they took me to the office, told me they'd been given these letters, and I told them that I had OCD and the nature of my OCD, and they said that was fine, and because they had permission to look in my medical records, and I said, yeah, I wasn't hiding anything. And then 6 months later I was suspended and was referred to their occupational health division, who deemed me unfit after me visiting them. I visited one and he said I was fine to return to work, and then they wanted a second opinion, so they went to my psychiatrist, who also said that I wasn't a danger to anybody and that I could go back to work. Cut a long story short, basically I was sacked for being unsuitable to work with children. So I took them to tribunal, which took about 2 years to get there, and I won my tribunal, and I thought that was the end of it. And about 4 months later I had a letter from the Department for Safeguarding Children, and they wanted to investigate my suitability for future employment with children and whether to place me on this list called List 99. It's for people who aren't allowed to work with children. And this I nearly passed out when I read the letter. I just couldn't believe that this was happening, and I had to fight them again. And in the end, it took about a year. I'd been to several specialists, and I compiled my own report, and I got my name cleared. I can still work with children if I want to, but that was a good 3 years of my life where I was fighting people that didn't understand my illness and actually saw me as a risk to children. I mean, the man who deemed me unfit to be working with children had never even met me before. Just went on a report from one of his junior doctors. They had no idea about OCD. It was disgusting. I mean, it went on. When I wanted to fight the case, I actually phoned the solicitor, and they told me I didn't stand a chance. So then I phoned an employment law specialist, and he came out, and it was quite strange because I sat there and I told him my story, and he said that he would represent me because his daughter's got OCD. Yeah, we went to tribunal. It took a long time, but I won my case. I was being accused of what I fear the most, and it wasn't nice. They refused to listen. I gave them information on it. I gave them people that they could speak to. I put them in contact with OCD Action at the time it was, and they just refused to acknowledge that I had an illness. They thought, one of them actually said to me, and it always stands in my mind, because I said, I worry that I'm going to harm a child, and it's my biggest fear, and it's one thing that I will never ever do. It isn't an urge, it's a fear. And the woman said to me, well, people with OCD like things to be clean, so they clean, and that was her. She said, so if you think you're going to hurt a child, you're going to hurt a child. She couldn't understand. I want people to hear my story. I want them, the thing with me when I watch OCD programs, there's been quite a few of them on lately, and they're all very, very good, but none of them ever mention the paedophile OCD. But if you go on OCD UK and read the amount of people, the amount of sufferers that actually have this particular type of OCD, yet it's never mentioned on the television in any of these things. And I thought, well, Obviously, I understand why nobody wants to talk about it in public, but if you could do it anonymously, it could possibly help so many people suffering from it, because it's such a scary thought to have, and the hardest one to ever tell anybody. I mean, I was actually so ill when I told somebody for the very first time. It just came out, and I was actually thought, this is it, I'm going to get locked up, they're going to throw away the key. And when the woman turned around to me and said, this is quite common, it was like such a relief. It was amazing, and then it all just came flooding out. And there are lots of people out there that are suffering from this right now, and that they're not doing anything to help themselves because they're too scared to. It's a terrible thing to suffer on your own.
I also spoke with people from across the globe via Skype and audio-video submissions that were submitted to me to be included within the film.
My OCD gets the best of me and comes out in obsessive thoughts. Constantly wondering why my friends don't call me back, what I did wrong to hurt them, if they hate me. I'll even write to some of my friends, "Are you still alive?" because I don't get responses from people, and not thinking that, hey, everyone's got a life and they're busy, but that takes over me sometimes.
I have had a long struggle with health anxiety since I was 8 or 9 years old, worried about different changes in my body and checking those symptoms over and over and researching them.
Since I've had kids, it's been more the thought process, whereas before it used to be just a physical thing where I had to touch things and do things a certain way, and there was never a reason why. It just didn't feel right. Whereas since I've had kids, it's the thoughts that come into my head are just out there. As a mother, it's difficult because I find a lot of the time I'm depressed. I actually go through nearly every day a grieving process for my children dying, and they haven't. I can actually feel how I'd feel. I go through the whole process of them dying, funerals, it's all sorts, and then I find that I spend so long with these thoughts that the children don't get the mummy time. When my first child was born, the thoughts that were coming into my head, I thought, oh my God, why am I thinking this? To not be able to go near a window for the fear that I could throw her out, because I knew I could throw her out of the window. The thought would come over and over again, I'm going to throw her out the window. I hold on to her tighter because I didn't want to throw her out the window. I was absolutely petrified of doing that, but the thoughts in my head kept saying, you can.
Some of my symptoms for OCD are repetitiveness. I tend to repeat a lot of actions. For example, I tend to close my closet door maybe about 10 to 12 times, or if I'm having a bad day, I usually close it and open it and close it till I feel I've done it enough times and I feel complete.
When I was a kid, I was really close to my great-grandmother, and I used to go over to her house and spend the night, and I was over there one night, and I think I was about 12 or 13 years old, and I was helping her make fried chicken, and I was like doing that with her. The whole time I was making fried chicken with her, I'm having these terrible thoughts that I'm secretly trying to poison her and she's going to die. So as we're sitting there eating the fried chicken, I'm thinking in my head, this is the last time I'm going to see her because I'm poisoning her to death, and at the same time trying to hold on a conversation with her. Woke up the next day, and of course she was alive. That was just OCD playing with me, but the thoughts were so intense and real, and I didn't know what they were.
But my OCD is mainly contamination based. So I kind of fit the stereotypical image of obviously the hand washing, being clean, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's not. I mean, to be honest here, if you saw my flat, the state of it, you wouldn't think. Because I'm not particularly bothered about the contamination from my own home.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's only myself within the home environment. If I were to introduce somebody into the home environment, I would be so anxious. I don't really like anybody being in the property, in my house. So that causes some distress because obviously the family would like to come and see me and be able to socialise with myself. unfortunately, I can't let them do that. It's worrying because I can't do a lot myself anymore, because I am so scared that if I go outside, I will become contaminated with something.
I've had intrusive thoughts that have ranged from sexual orientation to harm, feeling, and relationship with not only like boyfriend but also family members, questioning love in general for people. For about 3 years now. They've been insistent. It makes me feel like I live in a bubble practically. I'm living in mostly makes me feel like I'm trapped within my own mind, and I can't reach out to the world like I can.
I had these intrusive thoughts on various things like scrupulosity, religion-related intrusive thoughts, or also I had a fear of hurting other people, of harming other people. I'm not a violent person by nature, so I was afraid to do something that wasn't in my character.
My OCD takes many forms, contamination being one of them, but not your usual contamination from household germs or dust or fluff or anything like that. It can kind of be about mental contamination as well, memories, ideas and things that make me feel unclean and dirty. Some things in terms of contamination make me feel unclean as well, like bodily fluids. I've got quite a big issue with bodily fluids, and blood being one of the biggest ones. My worst bout of OCD, I'd say recently, lasted for about a year and led to me being pretty much ending up in my bedroom in the house because I couldn't touch a lot of areas in the house. So I couldn't touch. My whole house was full of hot spots. I didn't go into a room for a year. I wouldn't go across the landing for over a year. Lots of rooms out of bounds, lots of cupboards out of bounds. My home life really is where kind of I paid the price really with OCD. It's affected relationships with my children. It's affected my relationship with my partner, Tom, of 7 years. My mother, my sister. Every time I go out, OCD is there. The minute I wake up, OCD is there in my head. This thought, that unwelcome guest that jumps in as soon as you open your eyes, OCD scares the life out of me. Those things that I worry about, I really don't think that I can describe the feeling, the levels of anxiety that it takes you to. It takes people to think about taking their own life. I mean, it doesn't get any more serious than that, does it, really? And it's horrible.
I'm a perfectionist. That's like part of my OCD. I have to do everything in fives. Fives and multiples of fives are like a magic number for me. When I get nervous, I feel the need to clean because I feel dirty and contaminated a lot of the time. Let's see, I have a lot of intrusive thoughts. I have to cross my fingers at all times because if I don't, then I'm going to die. I don't like stepping on cracks because I think if I do, I'll die. I'm mostly just worried that something terrible is going to happen to me, and so I have to just do like the most random things ever to make sure that I don't die or that my brother doesn't die.
I was very privileged to be able to speak with so many people about their personal battles with OCD. It was extremely upsetting to hear the torment OCD had caused to others, but at the same time I felt reassured that I was not alone in feeling the way that I feel and the things that I do. At the start of my journey, I met Gail and Emily, who are mother and daughter. This really hit me personally to see how much Emily had suffered because of her OCD, and how much of a support network Gail was for Emily. This is their interview now, back in 2012.
I discovered I had OCD at the age of 7. I feel if I touch certain things, I have to wash my hands like I'm going to get an illness. So I normally always wash my hands, and I've got lots of hand gel to bring everywhere where I go, just to help me through the day. I'm worried that something will happen to my family too, not just me. But I really care about my family, so I really get nervous. If my sister's not home in time, then I'm afraid that something will happen to her or something. And if there's an ambulance going down the road, I'm scared that something's happened to someone in my family too. I have to wash my hands if I touch something that I'm not really comfortable with. And last year I wouldn't have left this room because I would have been too scared to go out anywhere. Nobody could come in the house. I was off school for a year because I got bullied because I was weird. Because I used to always carry around hand gel, and obviously they didn't understand what it was. So they were really horrible, and I got beaten up at one point by 5 boys, and that's when my mum took me out for about a year because I started to get strangled, and then my sister came over because her and her friend thought they were cuddling me. So they went over, and then my sister was kind of the one who saved me, really. Otherwise I would have been really hurt.
So you got beaten up for OCD?
Yeah.
How old was you then?
I think I was about 9. It makes me feel really, really depressed and angry and sad because I don't know why it's happening.
Emily had a really difficult time at school when her OCD was particularly bad. Her teachers wouldn't understand and didn't want any help in understanding or giving them information. And for example, in classroom situations, if the children had to go and wash their hands for any reason, cookery lessons, the teacher would make a point of saying to Emily, "You stay there, Emily, you don't need to wash your hands, you do it all the time anyway." Drew attention to the fact that Emily was going through a really tough time and almost mocking her for doing something that I guess the teacher didn't understand. Emily at school was given various nicknames, brain problems, weirdo, or the geek. One of Emily's calming measures for her OCD was word search puzzles, and she would sit and try and concentrate on doing the word search puzzles to stop any intrusive thoughts happening. And she was singled out for not wanting to play with other children or join in other activities because she just couldn't. She got to a point at school that her intrusive thoughts were taking over so much of her time, she couldn't focus on doing her schoolwork, she couldn't concentrate. And I went into school and explained that she was beginning to be punished for not being able to sit and complete her work. And I explained why she couldn't, that the intrusive thoughts were becoming too much for her. And they took her word search puzzles away. The last straw at school was when she got beaten up at school. And I know a lot of children get bullied and it's not acceptable, but she was picked on because of her OCD. She was the weirdo in the class, and children just found her a source of amusement, and she couldn't articulate how she was feeling. She came home from school and she was covered in scratches and her shoes were ruined, and they'd pinned her down, kicked her, tried to strangle her, and at that point she didn't go back to that school. It became part of her OCD. I took her, she had one appointment with a psychologist, and we were all just talking, and she wouldn't speak for months. It took a year for her to speak. And her eyes went, her hands went, and she absolutely melted down. Never seen her like it at all. And she wrote on a piece of paper, if I continue talking, Mr. Meany will burn the house down, because Mr. Meany is her OCD. The sheer terror, and she wrote me this note and just threw it at me, and it said, don't show anybody. And I just gave it to the psychologist, and I said, that is what's happening to her. When I read it, your stomach just plunges. She's a little girl. she's a little girl, and to have thoughts like that and to believe those thoughts and not be able to just let it go is horrifying. She, at her worst, she would stab herself. Mr. Meany told her to, and if she didn't, I'd die. And to see your child want to hurt herself to save you, and I couldn't do anything to stop that. You can't say, it's not enough to say, that's not going to happen, don't be so silly, because it's not silly, it's real, it's really, really scary. And she would rather hurt herself than to make sure that things didn't happen to me. And that, you know, that's my daughter, you know, and she's really consumed with this horrible thing that people think is funny. And if they could see that or be more aware of things like that, it's not funny.
I was shocked by how Emily's school had treated her and the horrific experiences she had encountered from suffering OCD. It highlights how important it is to raise the awareness levels of OCD to tackle the ignorance surrounding the condition.
In 2012, International OCD Foundation ran a competition to be part of their OCD Awareness Week event, Dare to Believe. I submitted the trailer for this film and won the video category. As a winner, I flew out to Boston, America to showcase a trailer for this film at their event.
This is a diary entry from the first diary entry from Boston in America in the Sheraton Hotel. I'm doing a wavy smile to me. We've been travelling. We got up at quarter to 5 in Sheffield, England, travelled to Manchester and then had a 8-hour flight, and then we had a connecting flight in Philadelphia, and then from Philadelphia we're on an hour flight. I'm feeling good, but I'm feeling nervous. I mean, I might be feeling it completely different. When I got picked up from the car, it was ace. Like, it was like my name on this massive, like, jeepy thing. It was so cool. It really is testing to travel this far and put all your OCD to the limit. Like, it has really, 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 like, and right now I'm like, oh. So, but it's a good test. But I'm very looking forward to tomorrow, and it'd be good. So, I'm just updating you what happened. So far today, I got up and I met Jeff Bell at the hotel, and we ran through questions and answered questions about my OCD and stuff, because he's the one that's going to be interviewing me tonight. After that, I then participated in a Facebook chat event, which was for filmmakers, and I was joined by 2 other filmmakers in that chat, and it was really great talking to them. And then later on, I've got a rehearsal for the event, which I'm so scared for. And then after that is the event. So it's a very busy day, and busy.
During my time at Boston, I was able to speak with Jeff from the International OCD Foundation to find out more about the event.
At the end of OCD Awareness Week, we wanted to do a big event. And so this is the 3rd year that we've done A Night to Believe. And what we did this year is we held a contest, and we asked people to do some sort of creative expression of their experience of OCD, or how OCD might have affected a family member. And the reason that we decided to do this is that we think it's a way of hooking people in and getting them to pay attention to OCD in a way that they might not have paid attention to it before. It's about capturing their interest and then really trying to educate them about the fact that OCD is an anxiety disorder. The general public gets to vote on the winners, and each year we fly the winners in from around the country. And this year in 2012, we have 2 international winners. We have someone from New Zealand who won our music contest, and we have Claire who won our film contest. So we're very excited. We have, the last couple of years, have had close to 200 people that attend the event, and people have a great time. And I think that, again, there's the education about OCD, but I think the experience of being able to tell your story in lots of different ways is very compelling and leaves people wanting to learn more about OCD.
On the night of the event, I was extremely nervous and very excited to be part of it. I documented and filmed at the event, and here's what happened.
Our next winner is Claire Watkinson, and Claire is a videographer and documentary maker, and she has submitted to us a trailer for her documentary, which is in construction right now, under construction, called Living with Me and My OCD. Claire is from Sheffield, England, which, if I've got my geography right, is about 6 hours from London. Okay, and Claire is going to come up and tell us a little bit about that, and then we're actually going to watch a little bit of her trailer as well. So, Claire, come on up.
Hiya. I just want to say thank you to everybody that voted me and supported it so far, and it's great being in America, and I hope you enjoy the trailer.
That's amazing. Wasn't that amazing? You said to me at one point this morning over coffee, doing this film has been my therapy.
Yeah, it has, yeah.
Talk about that.
Well, when I started, like I said, I was really down, and then I started filming, and then I started interviewing people, and I've met so many people, and through talking at the community online, it's just been incredible, and I've my OCD's dropped, and it's still there. I still suffer from myself bad days, but it just feels like now if I ever have a bad day, I've got the community online and everything that I've done so far to support me back.
Claire Watkinson. And Claire, we have an award for you as well. This is our 2012 Dare to Believe Award for Film and Video, and we're all very proud of you. Thank you.
After the event, I spoke with people on and off camera, including one of the other competition winners.
I'm Vincent Christopherson. My musical name is Split Screen Multiplayer, and we just met at an International OCD Foundation. Tonight was definitely about telling everyone else that there's some hope out there and bringing everyone with OCD together and, making a stand essentially.
My soul is music. I won't stop till the end of the days. Till I'm down. I won't stop till the end of the days. And I fear I'm born and my pride's gonna wait. I'ma try, I'ma wait till I die, till I fade, till I'm down. Till I'm down and out. My soul is music.
Been inspired by rap and just melodic sounds. As I've grown older, I've learned to appreciate all forms of music, and my way of getting out of my OCD tick is through the music. When I performed tonight, the song Till I'm Down, I wasn't just performing a song. To me, and to the audience as well, I was giving them a message that wasn't just a message, it was an enjoyable message, I think music is almost a device for me to be able to carry my thoughts with.
Down. Down.
This is the first diary entry I've done since I came back from Boston. I've just had an article written by a member of the Sheffield Star. She's basically writes for an elderly column, and she's related an OCD article and mentioned the film within there. The film was also double-page spread in Cumbria with the guy that I interviewed, Stephen Turner, earlier this year, which is amazing. Couldn't get over it when I saw the double spread. Launched the OCD wristbands, got one here, and they're going really amazingly too. It's just been such an amazing experience doing this film.
As part of the filmmaking project, I ran a crowdfunding campaign to raise funds for the post-production. I was overwhelmed to raise £2,759, and I would like to thank everyone who donated and supported and shared the project. I went on to BBC Radio Sheffield with Matthew Watson to discuss the film and also raise awareness for OCD. It's a fantastic experience, and we also got a chance to film inside, so here it is.
A little bit nervous now, starting to feel it, especially hearing them talk on the radio right now. But here to promote your good self's work as part of the Living With Me and My OCD documentary, and to talk about myself and my OCD. But yeah, looking forward to it.
Pretty nervous because it's a live, first thing I think done live since America, so it's going to be a bit daunting, but it's exciting at the same time, I guess, because there's going to be so many people, hopefully, in Sheffield that will listen to it, and it's good publicity.
Claire Watkinson, filmmaker from Sheffield, is making a documentary film about OCD, which is a condition she herself suffers from. The film features people who have or live with people with OCD, talking openly and frankly about their compulsions. So I'm joined by Claire in the studio and by Matthew Watson from Chesterfield, who features in the film. They join me in the studio. Thanks for doing so. Claire, what about your own OCD? What does it do to you?
My OCD contains 3 different elements. So one of them is contamination. So it's the stereotypical version that I wash my hands a lot. But what I want to get across is the reason why I wash my hands is it's the meaning behind it. So I'll get worried that I'll either go blind if I've got dirt on my hands, or something bad's going to happen to my family. Then that relates to my intrusive thoughts. So it's the one that's not really mentioned a lot is intrusive thoughts. So I have a lot of thoughts that go in my mind that are constantly there, like even while I'm talking to you now, they're constantly going round and round and round, and I can't switch them off. And it's so debilitating. I mean, it takes up every form of aspect of getting ready straight to going to bed. So sometimes it's so much effort to go to bed, there's just sometimes you just want to stay on the sofa because to have to get ready, to go through all the thoughts, to think you're going to go blind, to go into bed, to go back, to go check, to do this, it gets really, 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 really draining. And that's mainly what my OCD is
It's extraordinary because we've sat in the studio, we had a lot of laughs, you've got a camera crew in here as well, so it's making us all feel extra nervous. You say you're nervous, but we've been joking about all sorts of things and having a laugh. And all the time you've had these intrusive thoughts about, what, dying, death, illness, blindness.
Yeah, so it only makes it sound really, I don't know when you put it like that, but yeah, it's constant. Like if I could switch off these intrusive thoughts right now, I would, but it's hard to get through if you don't have them, but it'll be from anything. So I could look at something, see something, then it'll go to the next stage. So for instance, I've touched a piece of dirt, it will immediately lead into somebody dying. So it's that relation of something that somebody can just let go to somebody that suffers with OCD to take to the next level. And I think that's really important that I'm trying to show for this film, is that it's not just you wash your hands because you enjoy washing your hands, or you like to check it because you're a checker, or that I'm so OCD phrase that's constantly used. It's not.
Do you really think you're going to go blind, or is it? Do you know that it's a silly thought at the same time you're having a thought that's making you so distressed?
Yeah, the deep down, you know what you're thinking is somewhat somebody. When I tell people, they'll be like, what? And you know deep down, but then you get this feeling where you can't stop thinking. Actually, that is gonna happen.
Does it help talking to us now, or is it making it worse?
No, it helps because
Did making the film help?
It's really helped, yeah. And I mean, the amount of people that I've spoken to that have changed the opinions of what OCD is just brilliant. So, I mean, I've got friends now that whenever somebody says I'm so OCD, they'll correct them.
Also joined by Matthew Watson, who is in the film. What happened to you, Matthew? When did you get it?
I started with Obsessive Compulsive Disorder when I was 16. I'd always been quite an anxious teenager, but it sort of changed then. I was diagnosed when I was 19. Thankfully, I'm a lot better than I was then, but it's been a long, at times, very hard sort of journey, really. I broke a mobile phone purposely because I thought it was contaminated because somebody I didn't know touched it once. And it's, And
you're telling that story as if it's unbelievable you could be so stupid.
Yeah.
And yet you did it.
Yeah, I did it, yeah. And I just couldn't rationalise it, and I couldn't deal with that at that time. As I say, pairs of clothes, socks, pants, toothbrushes. I used to brush my teeth over the toilet because I didn't want to contaminate the sink for other people. I mean, it sounds like the craziest thing to anyone out there, and they probably do think that, but I mean, it's just your brain can't rationalise it. You know it's silly yourself, but with all these things running through your brain at 100 miles per hour, it's so hard to comprehend.
A message from Bob. What do you make of this one, who's been listening? I had a mate who washed his hands, then washed them again. Each hand had a separate towel. I looked him in the face and I said, "You are tapped in the head. You're sending us round the bend." And it cured him.
I mean, I'd say that's not OCD myself.
Yeah, I don't think you can just say something and cure. If somebody could say to me, "Stop doing what you're doing,"
and it cured me, then brilliant. Like that would I don't know either, that would have stopped a lot of things for me if that could be the cure for me. Personally, that wouldn't work.
I'd be the happiest guy in the world, but for most it's not that simple, unfortunately.
This is the best way to deal with it, is to tackle it on head on and just raise awareness of something that's...
It helps talking about it.
Yeah,
and
it
I
definitely
think,
does.
you know, if Claire's documentary, That's Why We're Here, it's a fantastic project, and I'm very proud to be a part of it, and it's, you know, it's doing amazing things, raising awareness like that text.
Yeah.
The misconceptions and the stereotypes surrounding it are plain wrong.
In 2014, I revisited Gail and Emily to find out how they were both doing since my previous visit.
Emily's OCD is pretty under control at the moment because how we've adjusted our lives to manage her anxiety. She goes to a brilliant school now. So that's, you know, she's still in a really good place.
School's fine. I absolutely love school. I've made loads of friends and I don't get bullied at all. It's kind of like I fit in there, and that's what I want. So that's what I got, and it's really nice to have people there that are the same as you, kind of, so I can like relate to them, and if they're having trouble I can help them, and if I'm having trouble they help me, and that's all I really wanted in school. So I finally found a school that does that for me, and I'm happy. I feel more able to do things now because, I mean, my psychology stopped now because I didn't think I needed it anymore. And in a way, like, Mum was worried about it because what if I do need it in the future? But I think I'm fine now. Like, if it does pop up again, I know how to deal with it. But also, I feel more able to do things that I wouldn't have done 2 years ago, and that's really what's important to me. In a few years, it'll all be gone completely, so I'll be able to be happy and not worry that it will pop up again, because I do worry now and again that what if it comes up in this situation and stuff, but I want to be able to know that it won't, that it's gone completely. And I think that the main thing for that is that I've learned how to get rid of it, so I'm really happy, and I feel much more happier than I did, and I feel a lot more confident and feel like I can do more stuff. I can just push OCD out of my mind.
I asked everyone I spoke with throughout the filming of this project what they thought about the awareness levels of OCD. Here are what a few people said on this.
It's extremely damaging. The way the public perceive it is nothing more than a cleaning thing. I mean, contamination OCD is serious, don't get me wrong. People that go through that, it is nothing to do with just needing to, you know, wash your hands because you're fussy, or if you've got issues with symmetry. It's nothing to do with putting stuff in order at all. On the contamination part, it's normally like I could get seriously ill, or someone could get seriously ill if there are germs left on this, and taking responsibility for other people. And it's then visions of death or hurting other people being hurt, that provoke them to do the behaviour.
People ask you, well, what do you do, or how does the OCD affect you? And they'll say, oh, I do that, everybody does that. It's really, really annoying, because you think, because my whole life has been devastated by OCD. I can't begin to tell you how difficult it's been.
I think half the problem is we could almost do with a new word for OCD, because OCD is completely associated with the silly joke.
I think it's got such a stigma because it's the thoughts that you have are so taboo. People are so afraid of sharing them and saying that they have them, that I just don't think. I think there must be so many people out there suffering that could get help.
I think people just think it was a little bit of a quirky thing that everybody has, and don't understand the devastating, disabling impact it can have on people's lives and jobs and relationships and every aspect of their life, really.
I remember when I very first told people, it was like, oh yeah, I've been diagnosed with OCD. Oh yeah, I'm like that too. Whenever I see a plug socket that's switched on, I need to make sure it's off. It's just like, that's not quite like how I'm going through, but okay, fair enough.
Yeah. It's a very debilitating, overlooked mental illness. It should be treated as a mental illness or a disorder. It's not just this quirky fad that people claim to have nowadays because they're a little bit fastidious, and it can ruin people's lives beyond repair.
People need to know about the real OCD, and like they have to stop portraying it the other way and differentiate between being me and having a disorder.
It upsets me when people say, "Oh, I'm so OCD because I clean my room." It's not about that. I don't enjoy having to wash my hands all the time. I don't enjoy having to clean all the time. And I certainly don't enjoy being sat, basically confined to my own home.
If you added up all the hours, and I'm sure with other people, spent crying or stressed or full of anxiety, people need to know that this is so far from funny. It plays such a big part in your life, doesn't it? It's there from the minute you wake up till the minute you go to bed.
There's enough stigma around mental health as it is. People don't understand. They can understand a broken leg or a broken arm. You can't understand a broken psychology. When you're able to express that to other people, you'll be surprised how liberating it is. And I found, since being able to express that, it has given me a lot more freedom.
I asked the people I have met over the last 4 years what messages they would share with the people watching this film. Here are a few of them.
If you think you have OCD or if you're worried about it, please get help. The sooner the better, because the younger you are and the earlier in the life of OCD you can catch it, the less ingrained the thoughts and the rituals become.
There's loads of people out there you can actually talk to, so you don't actually have to feel alone. And sometimes it's just about talking to someone who actually understands where you're coming from.
What would you say to people if they were watching now and they suddenly started to develop them feelings towards their child about what you had when you were pregnant? What would your advice be to them? I know it's tough, but what would you?
Well, I'd want to reassure them that they're not going to harm their child. I mean, the point is that these thoughts of harm distress you, and it's a distress that indicates your attitude, not the thoughts. They're kind of stuff your brain's throwing up that you're not able to inhibit properly. They're not you. And also seek help. Talk to someone about it. If you trust your health visitor or your GP, talk to them.
Read on the internet, tap into things like OCD UK, OCD Action, any peer-led support groups that are out there. Talk to people, and that might kind of give them a bit of confidence to try and kind of maybe seek some professional help, really.
Sometimes it's difficult to accept it and more difficult to get help. But the difference between getting help and engage in that therapy, engage in the exposure of your fears, it is worth it.
Don't be scared of your own mind, because you can do so many brilliant things with OCD, and if you just trust yourself and believe in yourself, honestly, you can do anything. Never let OCD get in the way of what you want to do.
The people who don't understand OCD, inform yourself. Understand what people like me or what people like Claire are going through who have OCD and what they battle on an everyday basis and a regular basis. And really, really grasp how serious it can be. And for everyone listening who has OCD, own it and fight it head on and find the positive traits in it and take the negative ones, the disability, and get rid of the dis and make it an ability. Get rid of the dis and dysfunction and make it something functional for yourself, because you can. You have the power in your own mind and in your own life to take control of anything in your world. So do it and start today.
If you have ever used the phrase "I'm so OCD" or joked about having OCD, I hope this has helped change your mind. Likewise, if you hear someone use this phrase or similar phrase, please challenge them on it. The more we make others aware of what OCD really entails, the less people will decide to use OCD to represent a joke. The last 5 years has been an incredible journey. My OCD has improved a lot, and I believe that this film has helped in this process. I would like to thank everyone who was part of this film and everyone who has supported its development. Thank you for watching Living With Me and My OCD.
Just go. Just